Hello, North Central Washington, and welcome to Networked. I'm your host, Jenny Rojanasatian, and we have been recapping the annual Flywheel Investment Conference, which connects entrepreneurs, investors, and business leaders. Held annually right here in downtown Wenatchee, the Flywheel Investment Conference awarded over $325,000 to Washington-based companies this year. This is episode 3 of 4, where we've been recapping the exciting events that unfolded back in May. Now, if you've been tuning in every week, you've already heard from a couple of the finalists presenting, as well as some of our keynote speakers. In today's episode, we're going to go back into hearing company presentations. The finalists competing on stage are head-to-head for over $325,000 in investment awards. And in this episode, you're going to hear first from Innovate Ag and then Honey June. What's really cool about this episode is that these are both Eastern Washington companies, one being based in Walla Walla and one right here in Leavenworth. Don't go far. We'll be up in just a minute with the first pitch. Welcome back. I am so excited for you to see this presentation from Walla Walla-based company Innovate Ag. Steve Mantle will be on the Flywheel stage in just a second, where you'll have a chance to hear his presentation as he competes for over $325,000 at the Flywheel Investment Conference. Following Steve's presentation, we do have a short commercial break, and then you'll hear from locally based company Honey June, who has two co-founders, Bo and Molly, and they'll present their pitch next. Please enjoy.
Thank you, Abby. Well, good afternoon. I'm Steve with Innovate Ag, and it's great to be here with you today. Innovate Ag is focused on empowering growers with data. And we are in a world where we are all surrounded by variability and volatility. We've got climate change going on around us. We're on an economic precipice, and we have unprecedented world events happening around us. It's disrupting our lives, and it's also disrupting the food chain that's out there. We all eat, and growers very much are facing these challenges as well, even more so. And so, through this, they have no choice but to do what they do, which is remain steadfast, to fulfill our needs, and ultimately to do it all with less. That's with less resources facing them. And so through all of this, data is constant. And what growers have asked us for is to provide data in a way that it is visual. Data in a way that growers can make sustainable decisions. Data in a way that impacts their bottom line. If they're not able to get through on their bottom line, it's not empowering. And we're focused on empowering growers with data. We do this by visualizing data for a grower. Our focus is predominantly on fruit. We started with tree fruit, with apples, and we provide this in a way where some of you have seen an ATV that we have upstairs, where we're mapping at 10 frames per second the fruit that's on an apple tree or a blueberry bush or on a vine, and capturing that at 10 pictures per second, and we're turning that into a map. At the same time, we're mapping everything that's happening below ground. So nutrients, organic matter, texture, pH, all the things that the grower has to contend with to have a uniform crop. And our focus is ultimately helping them get through that and predicting yield. So through all of this, every grower wants to engage around sustainability. Many of you may not know that U.S. agriculture actually accounts for 80% of water demand. And through that, that's a challenge when down in California, Latin America, and even in Southern Oregon, there's not enough water. Some of these farms are actually having to shut down because there's not enough water. And already, Innovate Ag is working with growers, with this being an example, where they're saving up to over 50% of water. Now, a huge cost for growers, roughly 15 to 20% of their operational costs are on chemicals. Now, with all of the disruption that's happening over in Russia and Ukraine, that's a source for fertilizer, a primary source for fertilizer. And the chemical costs for these growers have risen 2 to 5x, all erstwhile they've got their tractors, and we've all seen the prices at the pump, right? Over $6 a gallon for diesel these days. And so these growers, we're working with them ultimately to sustainably and economically better apply what's needed, where it's needed, when it's needed. Now, growers, again, ultimately are looking for data-driven decision-making in a way that is relatable to them. And we've got an example here with First Fruits, a grower out toward Walla Walla, Washington, that looked at one of their blocks last year, and compared to the prior year, we were able to help their labor be 30% more efficient, getting in and out of a block and onto the next much faster. And you can see a quote in here also from Rachel Noah with Tigueras Fruit, one of the largest fruit growers in the state, how critical data is to them, exactly where positioned. I'd like to share with you the voice of some growers where you can hear firsthand their challenges.
We want to be more strategic, you know, we want to see things in advance. We want to be more proactive instead of reactive.
We haven't been very technology oriented. It takes a lot of experience to get to where you are a really competent farmer. For people like me, younger people in the industry, that I'm relying on a lot of what the guys who are above me know already.
And there's better ways to do stuff.
We can manage an orchard based on data, and that is something that for me is amazing.
There's a problem with understanding how to create value out of data, but deliver that in a way that's meaningful to the grower where they can take action.
Knowing where to spend the labor dollars that are getting smaller and smaller.
Growing the fruit that you intend to grow without a lot of waste, and doing it by using chemicals only in the way that they're intended to do, only at the time that they are needed, and by utilizing all the other resources in a very, very efficient way. If you can more efficiently and effectively and more sustainably produce, then your operation will also be in a better position from a profit point of view. We want to be good stewards of the land. We want to be good stewards of the water and of all the resources.
Innovate Ag is one of the leaders moving the ag tech forward, bringing together disparate data sets, coalescing those into one easily accessible source.
So you've heard firsthand from growers some of their challenges. Where does Innovate align with that? Well, last year we had 19 growers across the state that signed up for 1,500 acres of coverage as an annual subscription, which equated to us for $132,000 of annual subscribed revenue. This year, 100% of our growers signed up again. And as you can see, they tripled their acreage and quadrupled our revenue. And already we have growers that have committed for next year, where you can see we're well on our way towards our 1.2 million goal for next year. Here's a longer state of projections through 2026. You can see that we're getting into different crops and geographies over time. And really, it's about focusing on the grower first and cultivating opportunity. Focusing on their ecosystem and enabling, empowering that grower's ecosystem, how they work with their chem companies, chem suppliers, bringing them onto the same page, helping them with who they sell to, the Walmarts, the Safeways, and helping them better understand what is coming downstream, working with their partners on ag finance and insurance, helping de-risk, and ultimately, ideally, ending up with a better interest rate because they have shared risk together. So that ultimately is Innovate Ag. We're about empowering growers with data, which supports economics, it supports sustainability, and it supports the next generation. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Bo, and this is Molly, and we are the founders of Honey Jun. We both love food, our environment, and our communities. We started Honey Jun in 2017 from our kitchen in Leavenworth, Washington. We immediately fell in love with this honey-based fermented tea. We saw that it would be a great way to impact the environment in a positive way, as well as disrupt the kombucha category.
So the kombucha industry reached $2 billion in 2021 and is expected to grow 20% year over year to $5 billion in 2026. Although Bo and I definitely saw a problem in the category, one being the really pungent vinegar-like taste of traditional kombucha, which is made with black tea and cane sugar. It is obviously a really unhealthy processed sugar. So we saw the opportunity to go beyond probiotic and add adaptogenic herbs and mushrooms to our brew. These are some of the herbs that we include in our brews. So adaptogens are stress-reducing herbs that help the stress response in the body. We were super passionate about putting all of these in each of our brews, and we were excited to go beyond probiotic. We are also very impact-driven, so we decided to partner with Save the Bee Initiative in Eugene, Oregon, and we make annual donations to the organization. So this is an adorable photo of a honeybee. He has his little pocket of pollen there. And this is our way of just getting a little glimpse into the life of a honeybee. We really saw the opportunity to support our pollinator friends with partnering with Glory Bee.
5 years into this, we've now sold nearly 2 million bottles of Jun kombucha. We continue to grow year over year, and we just experienced the largest first quarter that we've had to date. We're now distributed nationally, over to the East Coast, Midwest, South, and we have 2 national distributors at this time. We're at more than 600 retail locations, and we are now the second largest Jun kombucha company in the country. All from right here in Peshastin, Washington, mind you. One thing I'm really excited about is our retail growth. We do have really strong data from retailers. Some of them are the most influential natural food retailers in the country. And we have double and triple digit growth at sometimes the 3rd and 4th year on the shelf. So what we came up with a long time ago, in our kitchen, almost 5 years ago now, was that, once people try this honey-based version of kombucha, they'll really never go back to what they were drinking before. And we're actually seeing that in the data. So a huge part of moving forward with our business is going to be getting it into the hands of our customers, having them try it, taste the difference, and really make a different choice at the shelf the next time they go up to the kombucha set.
So none of this would be possible without our amazing team. So everywhere from our brewery operations, which includes Alex and Chuck, who are here with us today, some of you may have met, to our investors who comprise of our board, we have the knowledge and experience to really take Honey Jun to the next level. So as Bo kind of touched on, we are distributing nationally now. So we're in the Midwest, East Coast, in over 600 stores across 40 states. And we plan to continue that growth and are really excited about that.
So what does the future look like for us? Well, we plan to hit $1 million in sales this year. We're on track for that. And we'd like to be profitable this year. We see in 2 years the need for an updated production facility. We're still in Peshastin, Washington, about 20 minutes from here. And we think we can stay there for another 2 years before we'll need to upgrade. So we're working with a lot of different people in the area on where that will be. But we see ourselves growing to $10 million in sales by 2030. And part of that growth is going to be a lot of really exciting product launches. We've always seen ourselves as more than just a Jun kombucha company. Earlier this year, we launched Honey Nectar, a herbal probiotic honey that's the first of its kind. It's hard to believe, but it really is. And it's meant to be mixed in with your tea or coffee in the morning, delivering a dose of vital nutrients, probiotics, and stress-reducing adaptogenic herbs. Later this year, we plan to launch an incredible line of Jun kombucha that is 7% alcohol by volume. We've been working on this for a while. This is a really exciting category that's growing incredibly fast at the moment. And we're really excited to introduce a product that is a premium in the category that also supports the health and happiness of our customers by delivering a dose of liver-supporting herbs in each bottle.
Very important. Gotta have the balance.
That's right.
All right, so our current fundraise is 15% complete. We plan to use these funds on growing our sales, in-store sampling, and marketing teams, as well as our operations side of the business. It's, as Bo touched on, it's super essential for us to get Honey June in the hands of our customers, because I'm sure some of you experience once you try Honey June, you don't want to go back to traditional kombucha. And we even find that in people who have never tried kombucha or avoid kombucha altogether, that they really love Honey June. We also plan to do a fundraise in 2024.
We have seen some really exciting exits in the kombucha category already. Kavita Kombucha was acquired by PepsiCo for $200 million, and Pepsi has gone on to grow that brand substantially. So we do feel like an exit is in the cards for us. We would like to grow the brand to at least $10 million in revenue before doing that, and we'd hope to exit at that stage between $30 and $40 million. So we're more than just a business. We're a group of people that want to make a positive impact on the health and happiness of our customers. We would love it if Flywheel would join us on that journey. With honey in our hearts, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
So first question is, what is your most successful flavor when you trial product?
The Jasmine Rose. That would be the #1 seller at the moment.
And is that your #1 seller nationwide, or is it?
It is nationwide, yeah. And it's really fun for us because that was actually one of the first flavors we brewed in the kitchen, and it hasn't changed much. And so we used to call it the gold around the house. It's still gold. So.
It's also the most stress-reducing of all of them, so that might be telling.
Right.
Thank you for the free samples out there. I was pretty liberal with what I was trying. It's great.
There's plenty
got
more.
Some fans. Yes. I like that.
I found it at PCC the other day, and I knew you were going to be here, so I had already tried some, so I'm revving up on your brand. And one of the things I was just sort of wondering is you were talking about expanding and doing sales. What does sales look like for this? You have to influence distributors. You have to get in stores. What are those efforts?
Yeah, I mean, the food business is complex. I don't see you guys doing a Super Bowl commercial anytime soon, but tell us about how you get it in people's hands. Why am I seeing it at PCC? Right, exactly. So in food, it's not direct to consumer. There's a distributor in between us and the store. And so, but also the sales side of the business is through brokerages. So we've actually partnered with a really top-end natural foods broker who's a national broker who we expanded to the East and Midwest with. And they've done an excellent job. They have teams in the field, meeting with stores on their calendar. They're going into stores, making sure we have the shelf space we were promised, the flavors are on the shelf. It's really intensive. Mm-hmm. But this is a huge part of where we want to put capital in the future, is building an in-house sales team to facilitate the brokers. And I think we'll see really good results then. Thus far, it's been myself, Molly, and our brokers. Mm-hmm. You know, that's how a lot of small food brands launch and gets rolling. But it does benefit you in the long term to have an in-house sales team. Yeah.
So I'm curious, in that same theme, what opportunities or challenges did the pandemic introduce to your brand in terms of distribution or getting your product out in market with all of the tumultuous supply chains and whatnot?
Well, the biggest thing when the pandemic hit for us was the loss in keg sales. At that time, 20% of our sales was actually in store at our tap handles that we have where people can fill up their jugs. Those do really well for us, actually, and we lost those basically, and all of our bar and restaurant sales went away. But those have since come back. So it was a tough year for us, 2020, like a lot of companies, but we rebounded from that. There's also probably some logistical stuff, Molly?
Yeah, supply chain. So I kind of handle that end of things. And right away, when I started to get a couple of calls, like, oh, we're out of this and we're out of that. And so it allowed me to take another step in expanding our supply chain and building really strong, reliable relationships. And even going, we're working with a farm in India, for example. They're certified organic. We know so much about the farm, and we're learning a lot from them. And so that, that's reliable, and we're really focusing on those relationships right now. So, yeah, it was a blessing.
Do you think that your national distribution is going to require you to open manufacturing that's not based here in the Pacific Northwest?
No, at this time, our two national distributors, the biggest in the game, actually pick up from us. And it's worked into their system to do that, and it's working out very well. So we don't see the need to build, multiple facilities. We'll always be based here. Yeah.
What's the shelf life of your product?
6 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
And going back to the first question, I'm a novice in product development and foods. How do you come up with new flavors? Is it just experimenting in the kitchen? And then when you do think you have a winner, how do you validate your own taste with your customers' tastes?
That's a great question. I'll start with the foundation of where we start is the pillars of Honey June, of course. So making sure that we have that amazing flavor. So that could be a blueberry or an elderberry, like some of our flavors now. And then the function piece of it. So we always have the adaptogen and the herbs that are going to be really beneficial for our customers. So that's kind of step one, is starting there. And then in-house, we start to do R&D and experiment and do the tasting. And I think with our experience of the flavors we've created, we've been really lucky in developing and having great feedback. So we really trust that process.
Farmers markets have also been great for us.
Yeah.
We like to ask people and launch flavors at farmers markets here locally, and we get a ton of great feedback on what to bring back or bring forward in a flavor.
Also in kegs is a great opportunity to bring the flavor into the market more locally, like Bo said, and have it on tap at places.
Well, that is a wrap on episode 3 of 4 of our recap of the Flywheel Investment Conference. I want to give a big thank you to presenting sponsors Moss Adams, Ogden Murphy Wallace, Confluence Health, and Microsoft for supporting this really important annual event. NCW Tech Alliance could not do this work without their help. We're going to reveal who won all the investment dollars in our 4th episode, but if you are eager to find out in the meantime, you can learn more at flywheelconference.com. Thanks for joining us on Networked, and I'll see you here next week.
Since 1999, NCW Tech Alliance has served as our regional hub for technology innovation. As a 501c3, their nonprofit mission is to connect people and technology resources to create a thriving community. You can network with the team and guests from today's show by visiting them at www.ncwtech.org.